Welcome back. You've re-engaged with Thought.exe, and this is day 7.
Day 7 already. Time flies when you're updating.
Huh, exactly. So today we're diving into something maybe a bit abstract, but also really familiar. That feeling, that nudge inside.
Mm-hmm. The sense that something needs to change, like an update is available.
Precisely. That's
Yeah.
the core idea. Update available. We're framing personal growth through this kind of tech metaphor today.
It's a powerful way to think about it, I think, seeing yourself as this complex operating system.
Yeah, with all its programming, its learned behaviors.
Right. And just like your tech, sometimes that system needs an upgrade. But for us, that notification isn't usually a neat little pop-up box.
No, definitely not. It's often, well, it's discomfort, isn't it? That feeling.
Exactly. That
Yeah.
subtle friction, maybe anxiety or just feeling off. That is the notification.
Okay, so that's what we're exploring. We've pulled together some really interesting angles. There's a neuroscientist,
Yeah, talking about how deep these programs run.
a journalist who actually tracked changes in their own brain,
Mm-hmm. The meditation experiment. Fascinating.
and then some really raw, honest stuff from people sharing experiences online, like on Reddit.
So the goal today is really to unpack this whole update metaphor. Why does growth feel hard sometimes?
Why is discomfort often the signpost?
And, how can we maybe get better at noticing the prompt and actually installing the update?
Right, kind of a mix of that inspirational let's grow vibe with some solid understanding. Like creative pep talk meets modern wisdom, maybe.
I like that. Looking at ourselves through this tech-inflected lens.
Okay, let's get into the architecture then. The brain itself. This neuroscientist in one of the videos we looked at had this striking statistic.
Oh, the 95% thing.
Yeah, that by age 35, like 95% of who we are, behaviors, emotion reactions, habits, beliefs, it's all basically memorized. It's running like code.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, all that automation.
It is, and it's efficient, right?
Hmm.
For survival, probably. But it can also mean you're running on, like, outdated software.
Mm-hmm. The video mentioned those everyday examples like, instinctively checking your phone or the way you drive to work, how you react to certain people.
The same loop, day in, day out.
Exactly. And that repetition, it just reinforces those neural pathways. It becomes a subconscious program where sometimes your sense of free will feels, well, a bit limited.
Like the system's default settings just take over. And maybe those defaults aren't serving you anymore.
Right. And that conscious part of you, that tiny 5% that wants to change, that wants to install the new feature.
It's fighting against this massive ingrained system, like trying to run, I don't know, some fancy new graphics program on a 10-year-old computer.
Yeah, the old programming keeps interfering. You fall back into the same patterns the video mentioned. It really makes you stop and think, where am I running on autopilot?
But here's the hopeful part, the counterpoint to all that automation, neuroplasticity.
Ah, yes, the brain's ability to actually change. This was big in that BBC News piece.
It's fundamental, isn't it? Your brain isn't static. It can physically reorganize itself, form new connections. It's like the hardware can be rewired.
And that journalist's experiment was such a clear example. 6 weeks of meditation. Not years, 6 weeks.
And they saw measurable changes on a brain scan. Yeah. Visible proof.
It shows that even, let's say, relatively brief but focused input, it can lead to pretty significant shifts. It's not just wishful thinking.
It's genuinely encouraging. If 6 weeks can do that, imagine what consistent practice over time could achieve, like the experts in the piece suggested.
Exactly. So yeah, we have these deep programs, but the hardware itself, it's adaptable. You're not actually stuck.
You can install updates.
And things like meditation, as the BBC piece implied, could be seen as like system maintenance, keeping things optimized.
Defragging your mental hard drive.
Yeah, running those updates to keep performance high.
Okay, so the brain can change. We've got the hardware potential. But what actually triggers the need for that update? This brings us back to discomfort.
This is such a crucial reframe, I think. We're so used to thinking of discomfort, anxiety, boredom, dissatisfaction as bad. Something's wrong.
Yeah, avoided at all costs.
But what if it's not a bug? What if it's a feature? What if it's the system saying, hey, current setup, not quite working anymore, update available?
The articles from Lifehack and BetterUp really hammered this point home. They basically said, real growth requires stepping out of the comfort zone.
Right. Staying too comfortable, that's where stagnation happens. Like software that never gets patched, eventually it becomes vulnerable or just obsolete.
It can't handle the new demand.
Look at those Reddit examples. The person hitting their mid-30s and suddenly feeling like they've got nothing to show for it.
A painful realization.
That intense discomfort. That's a massive signal, right? The current program isn't leading to the desired outcome. It's a system alert.
And what about the person quitting various habits, weed, alcohol, whatever, and feeling empty, even though the changes were positive?
That's fascinating, too. It shows that even good updates can feel weird at first. There's an adjustment period.
Like when they totally redesign an app you use every day.
Exactly. Even if it's better, the new interface feels awkward for a while. You have to relearn things.
That makes sense. And then the example of divorce causing unexpected shifts in attraction or emotions.
That's a huge life event, forcing a system-wide update, whether you wanted it or not.
Yeah.
You have to recalibrate based on this new reality. Sometimes the updates are kind of imposed.
Right. So discomfort is the signal. Our brains can change.
Yeah.
But how do we actually, initiate an update consciously? It's not just clicking install now.
No, definitely not. Though wouldn't that be nice sometimes?
Huh, maybe. But yeah, this is where having some kind of method helps, like the feed method mentioned in that book review for Rewire Your Brain.
Ah, feed. Focus, effort, effortlessness, determination.
Yeah, it gives you a structure. You consciously focus on what you want to change
Put in the actual effort to build those new pathways. Practice.
until it becomes more automatic, more effortless.
But you still need that determination to stick with it. It's a cycle.
It seems like a practical way to think about directing that neuroplasticity we were talking about.
It really does. And it connects nicely to the advice about taking small steps, like in the Life Hack article. Gradual momentum.
That came up on Reddit too, right? Someone starting with just one small habit, like journaling.
And seeing it have this big ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's the Kaizen idea that BetterUp mentioned: 2 small, continuous improvements.
Like installing small patches instead of trying a massive, disruptive overhaul all at once.
Which can feel way less overwhelming. And BetterUp also had that smart tip about focusing on your strengths first.
Right. Build some positive momentum before tackling the really tough areas, like optimizing the parts of your system that are already working pretty well.
Creates a more stable base for the bigger changes. And, crucially, self-care. BetterUp stress this.
You can't run updates constantly without downtime.
Exactly. Your system needs time to integrate the changes, to rest. Push too hard, too fast, and you risk burnout. System instability.
Like trying to install a huge OS update on 5% battery. Bad idea.
Very bad idea. And this links to that idea from the self-improvement subreddit, too, about actively rewriting negative thoughts.
Yeah, turning them into positive statements. That feels like direct reprogramming, changing the actual code of your internal narrative.
It really is. You're consciously editing the software.
So these are the practical tools. But there's also a layer of understanding, right? Like knowing what needs updating.
That Strike article on information analysis touches on this. You need to assess your current state first. Run the diagnostics.
Take an honest look at your patterns, your beliefs. Where are the glitches? Where are the bottlenecks?
And this is where philosophy comes in, too, as those other resources mentioned. Philosophy encourages that deep self-reflection.
Looking at different perspectives, understanding your own values. It gives context to why you might want to update in the first place. What's the bigger purpose?
Exactly. It connects the how of personal development with the why, and Jung's idea of individuation.
The drive towards wholeness.
Yeah. It frames this whole update process as part of a lifelong journey to integrate all the different parts of yourself, becoming a more complete, balanced system.
Bringing all the different software modules into harmony, maybe?
That's a great way to put it. And underlying all of this is self-awareness.
Knowing yourself, conscious, unconscious, the whole deal.
You can't fix or update what you don't know is there, right? You need the system specs before you can upgrade effectively.
Absolutely. It's the essential first step. You need to know the current OS version.
Precisely. What are you running right now?
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive on update available. The main thing to take away, maybe, is that discomfort isn't the enemy.
Not at all. It might just be the most important signal your internal system sends. The prompt telling you an upgrade is ready.
An upgrade that's potentially essential for your growth, your evolution.
So think about your own life, your own internal system. Where are you feeling that friction, that nudge?
Is there a persistent dissatisfaction somewhere? A recurring thought about doing things differently? A discomfort with old habits?
It's like your programming is checking for newer versions, better ways of operating. And sometimes installing them means stepping outside that comfort zone.
It can feel unsettling, sure, maybe even scary. But the potential is moving towards a version of yourself that's more capable,
More optimized.
more aligned with who you really want to be.
So the question we want to leave you with, the one to maybe carry around for a bit.
Where are you resisting your next version?